Hello and welcome to Valualytics, the channel where we search for discounted stocks based on their intrinsic value. Today we will find the intrinsic value of Stanley Black and Decker, ticker SWK. To do that, we will use 4 different intrinsic valuation models. But before we go to the analysis, just a short disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just a random guy on YouTube interested in stock analysis, investments and creation of analytical tools. The content of this video should therefore not be considered as financial advice. Remember to always do your own stock analysis and due diligence. This is the stock screen I have created. It's a really easy tool to use, it's almost fully automated. So let's start by writing in SWK for Stanley Black and Decker. And as you can see now, it loads in all the financial data from this company. So we have here a graph over the stock price the last year, and we can change that if we want to look at it for the last, let's say 700 days. And then it updates automatically. As you can see, the stock price right now looks rather cheap compared to what it has been the last 2 years. So if we just looked at the performance the last year, we can see there is a 51% decline in the stock price. So is the stock currently trading at a discount? We will try to analyze that in this video. To do that, we will start by using Graham's valuation method. Let's look at Graham's valuation. This method was originally created by Benjamin Graham, all-time great investor. So to find the fair value of, or the intrinsic value of a company, he created this equation where he took the earnings per share and multiplied that by 8.5, which is a P value of a company with no growth. And to that he added 2G, where G is the growth rate projection. And that is then multiplied by 4.4, which is the average yield of a US corp bond. And finally, it's divided by the current yield of a US AAA corp bond, which sits at 3.88% at the moment. This valuation was originally created by Benjamin Graham many years ago and has since been revised into a new valuation called Graham's revised valuation, which is not as aggressive as the original one. So the difference is that instead of 8.5 for a company with no growth, we now have 7. And instead of taking 2G, which was the growth rate projection, we now only have 1G. This spreadsheet makes it really easy to find the intrinsic value of a company. All you have to do is to fill in these orange fields. The rest is done automatically. For instance, the current yield of a AAA corp bond is taken directly from a web page, and earnings per share and price to earnings ratios are loaded from the stock screener. So all we have to do is find the growth rate projection. And to do that, we can use this link over here, which takes us directly to Yahoo Finance analysis page. By scrolling down to the bottom of the page, you can find the growth rate projection of the company. So let's try to do that. And as you can see here, it's 13.3%. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. And here I have just written in 13%. By doing this, we get an intrinsic value just over $223. But as the growth rate of the company is above 5%, I normally use a Graham's revised valuation, which gives a price of $129. This is above the current stock price of $93, and the difference is almost 40%. But as this is not exact science, I will always use a margin of safety. And here I have set that to 25%. which gives an acceptable buy price of $97.3. And this is above the current value of the stock, and therefore the program gives a buy signal. Next, we will look at the comparable company analysis. In this method, we will see how comparable companies are valued, and you can then just write the company stock checker. The spreadsheet will then automatically find the earnings per share and the PE values for these companies. It will then calculate the average PE value, which will be multiplied by the current earnings per share for Stanley Black and Decker. And this will give us an intrinsic value of the company. And as you can see, it sits as $146, which is above the current stock price. And if you then add in a margin of safety of 25%, it gives us an acceptable buy price of $110, which is above the current value of the stock. Therefore, the spreadsheet will give you a buy signal. The next model we will test is the Peter Lynch Dividend Adjusted Fair Value model. This model was developed by Peter Lynch, who believed that a fair value of a company could be found by taking the earnings growth rate plus the dividend yield if a company paid out dividend and divided by the price to earnings ratio of that company. Again, this spreadsheet is fully automated. It automatically imports the price to earnings, the earnings per share, and also the future growth of the company, which we put in before, together with the dividend yield. And when we do this, we'll get a fair value of the company of 1.07. And according to this model, a value close to 1 equals a fairly valued stock, meaning that Stanley Black and Decker right now is at a fair value. And we can actually rewrite this equation to find a fair stock price because of math. And if we do that, then we will find the fair value of this stock is $100.33. And then if we put in a margin of safety, as you should do, then we will find an acceptable buy price close to $75. And that gives us a sell signal. So let's look at the dividend discount model. In this model, we can find the fair value of a stock by calculating the next year expected dividend and divide it by the discount rate minus the dividend growth rate. And here you have the option to choose if the dividend is paid out yearly or quarterly. So many US stocks is paid out quarterly, while a lot of European stocks only pay out dividend once a year. So again, you only need to fill in the orange fields. And here I've written in the dividends from the several last years. And in order to find that, I go to Yahoo Finance by using this link. Let's try to do that. And it will open the Stanley Black and Decker historical data page. And then you just have to choose dividend and then monthly. And then we'll go back in time. So let's find a data point from several years ago here. 2015 January. And we'll just choose the 1st of January and say OK. And then we just need to say apply to get this to update. And as you can see now, it has loaded in the dividend yield of the last several years. And this is just the data I've transferred into the spreadsheet. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will then calculate the average growth rate of the dividend. And you actually also have the option to just choose a custom dividend rate if you want to. You can choose it here. So custom or average. And I've just set the custom growth rate to 5% to be a bit conservative. And then you add in the discount rate, which I've set here to 8, but you can add in another one if you want. And then again, I've just added a margin of safety of 25%. This gives us a fair value of the stock of $110 and an acceptable buy price close to $83. And therefore we have a sell signal as it is not above the current stock price. So let's go to the summary. So here in the summary, you can see all 4 different valuation models. You then have the option to choose to include either of these models, as there might be times where one of these models will not apply to your stock, for instance, if it doesn't pay out dividend. It will then update the average intrinsic value of the company. And we find an average intrinsic value of Stanley Black and Decker close to $122. If we then apply a margin of safety of 25%, we get an acceptable buy price of $91.41. And this is above the current stock price of $93.5, and therefore it gives a sell signal. But we have the options to follow this in our watch list. So if we just write in the ticker symbol here, SWK, it will load in the financial data. And then we just have to write in the date of analysis. And today we have the 25th of August 2022, so we'll just write that here. And then we'll write in our margin of safety, which is 25%. And then we'll just write in the intrinsic value we found, which was $121.88. The intrinsic value plus the margin of safety will then automatically be calculated. And as you can see, we don't have a buy signal as the intrinsic value is now below our current stock price. So if we change the margin of safety to, let's say, 20%, all of a sudden we now have a buy signal. So you can see we are pretty close to getting a buy signal for this stock at the moment. And that was the analysis of Stanley Black and Decker. And as you can see, it was quite easy to use this tool for intrinsic valuation. This intrinsic valuation tool is available on my Patreon page together with other tools for stock analysis and portfolio tracking. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel in order to get more content like this in the future. And until then, have a nice day.